Good evening and welcome to the Laughing Monkey Music Show. Today we have on Mickey Finn. Mickey is most famously known for Jetboy, but he does a lot of other stuff too. How are you?
I'm good. Happy to be here. Finally, I know we had to reschedule this a couple times, but I'm glad we finally got it together.
We did. Um, your band has been clearly very influential, and in the past couple of years put some more music out.
Yep.
Your last album, Born to Fly, is awesome.
Thank you.
You are obviously known with GNR and Poison and all those guys, and unfortunately, it feels like because people don't know, you guys get shuffled a few times with record labels, and you lost one, got another, lost one. So despite as good as the albums were, you lost a lot of momentum with poor
Absolutely.
management of the albums with the labels.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, we're kind of one of those sad sack stories with bad luck. Um, but once you're an insider, you learn that it's not uncommon at all,
No, I
right?
think everybody. I
There's
don't even know anybody's ever done it. That's that a good
yeah,
story.
there's tons of bands that have had similar stories. But with us, it was really like when you looked at the amount of press we were getting
Hmm.
when we came up at that same time the Sunset Strip was developing. We were a Northern California band, and there was a whole scene, happening up there. And then things kind of merged, and we moved to LA to pursue, when the record labels were considering signing us and whatnot. Um, and yeah, I mean, we after a year of labels coming to shows and meeting with people and whatnot, we got signed by Elektra Records, and we were just peaking. Guns N' Roses was peaking, Poison was
Yeah.
peaking. LA Guns. I mean, there's a whole list of bands, and we were in the top one or two or three out of all those bands as far as the amount of press we received and the critically acclaimed, right? There was just, you couldn't find any bad press on us.
Yeah.
Everyone loved us. Everyone predicted we were going to be huge, and we had everything that you needed. Our shows were amazing, and we attracted a wide, diverse crowd of different styles of people. But we just got screwed over by record company politics and things that were out of our control. In a nutshell, after we recorded our first record, a few weeks before our release date, Elektra Records, which was actually an East Coast based label but had offices in LA as well, they cleaned house, and they fired, from the president on down, they fired everybody at the record label, and they just chucked everything they were working on. And so the record never came out. We immediately started shopping to other labels. That kind of took forever, but we ultimately signed with MCA Records. And then there was a little battle because they wanted us to start from scratch and record a new record.
Yeah.
And we were like, screw that, man. Or it's ready. Like, let's go. All these other bands are already on the road, and they're like, blowing up, and we need to be out there. But we lost about a year's worth of momentum by the time the contract got worked out and they prepared for the release date and all that. It was a year or maybe more. And then I think they didn't really seriously get behind it because they would have preferred that we did a new record under their direction.
Right.
So we did 3 or 4 months worth of touring, and then they pulled us off and said, all right, time to work on a new record. So we said, all right, cool. We did some big tours and stuff. I think we toured with Stryper, we toured with Kix. We had some fun. And then we started working on the follow-up record, Damnation. And then lo and behold, the same thing kind of happened, right? Shortly after Damnation came out, I mean, we did a month and a half, or I don't know, 3 months worth of touring. And then they pulled us off the road, and our management was like, we're like, what's going on? What's going on? And they're like,
That's
I
crazy.
don't
That was a
know.
great album. I had the tape. I'm like, what the heck happened?
Right.
I mean,
Right. And so we had a meeting at the record label, like immediately. Like, we came home a couple of days later, we had a meeting at the record label, And we walk into MCA Records and the place is like deserted, like a giant office building with usually filled with desks and people bustling everywhere. And it was just like empty. And so we learned that Sony Music had bought MCA Universal. It was one of those huge conglomerate buyouts.
Yeah.
And it was kind of the same thing. They just chucked most of their catalog. There were a few bands that they kept. I think probably we got chucked because they had spent a fortune on us. You know what I mean? And instead of, if they would have just if they would have just gone to the grocery store and looked on the shelves at all the
I
magazines.
know, you had everything. You guys all you just needed to do was let you tour. That album was destined to be huge.
Yeah. There were a couple other weird little things too. I remember the first video and single from that record was a song called Evil. And I remember at the time, we got rejected from MTV to move into daytime rotation. So they played us on Headbangers Ball,
right,
or late at night, but that was it. And whereas other bands were moving into daytime rotation, they were like, no, it's too scary. The singer's too creepy. He's got this big mohawk, and like, I think it was just a little bit before its time. And it wasn't pigeonholed, right? Like, we didn't look like Poison, we didn't look like Guns N' Roses. We looked similar, but not the same. And I think it was just enough for them to kind of, not give it the push it needed there. And I mean, that was kind of it, like once we lost that second record deal, by that time, I mean, let's face it, that whole Sunset Strip hair metal glory day, it was like 3 or 4 years, right? It wasn't a long thing. It kind of came out of nowhere. Our band started in 83. By 85, 86, we were already like moving to LA, getting signed. Our first record came out in 88. And really by 91, the whole thing was over. So there was maybe like a 4-year peak. It was building up, and then there was like a 4-year peak, and then boom, right at that time, the grunge scene started happening. Nirvana blew up, and nobody wanted to sign hair metal bands anymore. And I hate the term hair metal. I hate to use it on myself, but whatever. People at this point, whatever. It's a recognized. You kind of know what
I understand.
I'm talking about.
I don't ever say it, but I recognize it, and I just let it go. But I don't. It's such a silly name.
It is what it is.
I get it. But it's just.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm okay with glam rock and hard rock and metal, but hair metal is like, it's just the weirdest thing.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And I think it the reason it doesn't do it justice is because it enforces that stereotype that hair metal bands cared more about their hair than their musicianship or their songwriting, which was absolutely not true.
Right.
If you're a fan of the genre, then you understand that. But at any rate, it was over quick. We at that point we really had no money. We moved back to San Francisco area, kind of regrouped. We got a new manager. We were with Bill Graham Management for a while, and we just were shopping around. We recorded a bunch of great music, which was later released on independent labels. There's probably 3 or 4 records that came out, and one of the labels was Paris Records, with some great material that we recorded, which would have been the evolution of the band. But we just couldn't seal a deal. Then we kind of switched out some members. Some people went their own way. We changed the name from Jetboy to Mind Zone. We got really heavy, almost like a Metallica, Pantera type sound. And that we came real close for a while on. And then, we kind of went our separate ways for about 10 years and regrouped around 2006 and started making music again. And since then, it's, we've always been kind of inconsistent, but we have always remained, you know what I mean? So that's why we're still here now again today. Um, as far as the hitting the road and touring in vans, and like we just that, you know it's a tough thing to do. My hat's off to bands that have kept at it,
Yep.
and still have a faithful following on the road. But I went on to pursue some other things in life. I was a DJ and I produced electronic music for about 10 years. Moved to Hawaii, got married, like, kind of have balanced out my life there. But yeah, we're still here, some of us anyway. And
Well, I mean, there's such loyalty to it. I mean, Billy's still in the band, and Billy's obviously with Buck Cherry. And I actually spoke with him right around the time he was going over into Buck Cherry. Actually, I don't think I even realized it when I talked to him that time. It was more
yeah,
Jetboy I knew him from. It was just right on the peak of that being announced. Um,
yeah. I mean, look, Billy was friends, a big fan of Buck Cherry for a long time.
mhm.
And he became friends with Stevie. Billy, as you know, has his own
Guitar place.
custom guitar company. Amazing,
I was gonna say
amazing
that.
stuff.
Yeah, I've seen the stuff. They're great.
Yeah, and he became pretty close with Stevie from Buck Cherry. And as you know, those guys have kind of had a
Yeah,
rotating list of lineup changes as well. But it's been Stevie and Josh. And yeah, when that opportunity came up for Billy, he obviously jumped on it, and it's been working out great. I mean, I think they got a lot busier than he was
yeah,
anticipating, which is great, and they're still having great success. But he's able to work from the road, and he's got people working his guitar company, and he's doing deal. I mean, I'm so proud of Billy. He's just like amazes me, the level of work that he manages and juggles and keeps together. At the same time, he doesn't have a wife and kids, and
right.
so
That frees up a little bit of time by about
that
20
frees,
hours a
that frees
day.
up a little bit of time. Yeah, for sure, for sure. But yeah, man, me and Billy have been very close. Really, really the best of friends out of everybody in Jetboy.
Hmm.
And when we got the opportunity to record again, I mean, Born to Fly was really our third full length album, right?
Right.
So we had recorded tons of stuff that was released on little independent labels, and we put out an EP in, I think, 2012 called Off Your Rocker.
Hmm.
Um, that had like two new songs and live versions of three older songs from the M3 Festival. But Born to Fly really is our first full length album since Damnation. And I really feel like we hit the nail on the head with the natural progression
Yeah.
of where the band would have gone. Obviously, years have gone by and we've lived lives and been through different music styles and whatnot, but we were conscious of making a record that was a little bit evolved, and we were able to explore a little bit with some different styles and sounds, but also we were conscious of pleasing the hardcore Jetboy fan, right? So it's still very much Jetboy, but
Right.
I do believe there's a bit of an evolution there. There's a good enough of an eclectic blend of songs. It's not like every song sounds the same or is the same style. Billy's always been a master at writing solid mid-tempo riffs and very catchy kind of mid-tempo groove
Yep.
rock tracks. And obviously a lot of AC/DC influence for us, that's always been there. So yeah, the record I'm super proud of. The tracks came out great. um, it's on Frontiers Records. If you people aren't familiar with them, it's actually a label based out of Italy. But LA Guns, I think, has done their last two records with them, and they have a ton of European
Yep.
rock, metal. It's a good label. We had a decent budget, so we were able to do a good job on the record. We did it really fast. We wrote the entire record and recorded it in 2 months,
Hmm.
and rushed through and did the artwork and everything. It happened really fast. The whole record was recorded over about a 10-day period. The vocals were all done in 3 days. I think it's 12 tracks, so it was challenging. But we hadn't written together. That's the thing too. Is me and Billy and Fern have always been magic when it comes to writing. And it
Yep.
had been so many years since we wrote anything together that it flowed really fast. I was living in Hawaii still, so we were just sending files back and forth, and it came out great. Um, we did a bunch of videos on shoestring budget. I think the title track "Born to Fly," the label paid for the video, so definitely has a more professional feel to it. But we've always been good at the kind of underground alternative thing too. So the rest of the videos we did with friends on shoestring budgets, and there's lots of personality. They're fun to watch, and I think we did 5 videos out of 12 songs. I think there's 5 videos
Wow.
that you can see on YouTube.
I know there's a couple. I've seen a couple from it. They're all good. I like them.
Yeah. So yeah, just super stoked on that. We played a good amount of shows.
The COVID lockdown.
Yeah, that was kind of it, right? The last thing we did, we went to we did Monsters of Rock cruise, which was amazing. We did a short tour in the UK. We played O2 Arena, that Hard Rock Hell, which is an amazing festival over there. We did with LA Guns. We got around a bit, played shows where we could, and and then COVID hit, and we haven't played or done anything since. Billy joined Buck Cherry, and so we are finally now back. I moved from Hawaii to Vegas and bought a house here, so I'm all settled in, and so the big news of the day, which this is all kind of transpired in the last couple of weeks. Well, we had been offered. I don't want to give too much away, but we do have a record in the works. It's going to be a cover record. We've never done a record of covers before, and we have a lineup change. So we haven't officially announced this yet. This is actually the first time I'm announcing it, but Fernie, our lead guitar player, and forming what do they call it? Founding member,
Yep.
has chosen to retire from the band. So 35 plus years playing music together.
Does he get a watch or something or a plate?
He just wasn't enjoying it anymore.
Yeah.
He's a little bit distant. We haven't had great communication with him, but he was kind of gearing up for it and kind of letting us know for a while that he was really not feeling it and not enjoying it. And then a couple months ago, or a few months back actually, he was like, I'm out. And we kind of thought we'd give him some time and some space, and it sounded like maybe we could talk him out of it, but in the end, recently he let us know, like, nope, I'm done, I'm retiring, and he gave us his blessing to move on without him. So
Wow.
kind of, weren't really sure what we were going to do, and with Billy being busy, we didn't put too much emphasis on it. But now we have a new guitar player. Officially, his name's Jimmy Romero. He he's from our era. He is a very accomplished musician, singer, lead guitar player. He's got an amazing recording studio. He does multimedia, photos, videos, editing, movies. Like he's a super talented guy, and he's going to be a big asset to the band. He lives like 10 minutes away from me here in Vegas, so
Jeez.
we are set to start. Yeah, so it's worked out great. He also has been playing in bands with our drummer Al Serrato.
Mm-hmm.
He was actually in my solo band Cold Blue Rebels, and then I brought him into Jetboy, and he's been with Jetboy now, I think, since like 2013 maybe. Even though he's not in a couple of the videos because he wasn't able to make it, because he plays in a lot of other bands too. So that's why in a couple of our videos you see Andy Galian from Death Angel, the original drummer from Death Angel.
Yeah.
But Al played on the record, and he's been our drummer since about 2013. But him and Jimmy have played together in bands. They had a band called the Hellenbacks. Jimmy has produced some notable acts like Minefield featuring Todd Kearns
Yep.
from Slash's band.
Yep.
He's done a ton of stuff, and he's super excited. We hit it off great. And so, yeah, Jamie Romero, new guitar player, Fernie Rod out. And we've got some shows coming up that have just been confirmed. End of the year, we're going to be playing the Whiskey in LA on the Sunset Strip on December 29th. And I think we're doing Denver on the 30th. And then the Rock Island Festival, January 17th, we just announced too, which is great. The first festival we've been on. So still gearing up for next year. Still a lot of work to do. But I'm super excited because it's been like 2 years without music in my life. And I've seen Billy like one time during that. He came over here and we were working on some demo tracks. So, you know, we keep in touch on the phone and whatnot, but it'll be nice to get busy again. It's funny because I posted that Rock Island festival on my Facebook page.
Yeah.
And somebody was asking, like, you know, who's filling in for Billy? And I was like, Billy. Like, there's no filling in for Billy.
Well, the thing is, because like with Exodus, when Gary did Slayer, he had a fill-in, but he was always going to stay with Exodus. You know what I'm saying?
Of course. Look, this is the thing, right? People have gotten used to. I guess it's good. But yeah, I mean, if there's ever a time when Jetboy gets offered an amazing show and Billy can't do it, we'll get in a sub. And you know, if our drummer can't do it, we'll bring in a sub. You know what I mean? The only person you can't replace is me.
Yep.
You could, per se, but that would be a much harder thing to do, right? A drummer can sit down with the tracks and, you know, practice and show up and basically play the songs. It's not like you have to put a ton of work to it. Guitar players, if they're on their game, should be able to, you know, learn parts pretty good. And we have such a network of friends, you know, musician friends and whatnot. I'm not worried about it being a problem. And of course, you know, I'm still super saddened to see Fern go. But you know, that's how it is. You know, we're all getting older. Most of us are just thankful to still be able to play music and to still have an audience. And that's kind of how Jetboy have been. Like I said, we're different. You know, we have never been consistent since our glory days, but we stick around and we keep turning up, you know. So we're back at it again. We got a lot of work to do the rest of this year, and we're looking forward to next year, man. Some you know, lots of shows and more music and stuff like that. So
well, I think having a new musician in the band is new blood, and if you didn't want to do it anymore, it would feel on everybody else, just because you guys would feel like you're pulling him out. Is he going to stay? It would change the energy of.
Yeah.
Because at this point in your life, you want to make sure you do things because you want to do it 100% because you enjoy it.
Sure.
You know?
And it's not easy to find. It's not easy to find a right person, right? Because I mean, we're grown-ups now. Like, we have grown-up lives and we have mortgages and kids and responsibilities and stuff. And the very, very few musicians can make a successful living. You know, I mean, there are exceptions. You know, Buck Cherry, they're still a very popular band. You know, they're not a nostalgia band. They're not, you know, and they've stayed relevant and they pull big crowds and you know, they make enough money to survive on it. That wasn't really an option for us. No matter how bad we wanted it over the years, it just didn't line up for us that way. So. But we've kept going, you know what I mean? We are rock soldiers, rock warriors, you know, and we're not giving up. And it's down to me and Billy now from the original lineup. But we've got great players. Like I said, our drummer Al is like a kid brother to me. I mean, I've watched him grow from, I think when I met him, I don't even think he was 21 yet.
Wow. And
now he's been playing with me for years, and plays in tons of bands. He's a phenomenal drummer. He plays drums for a living, right? He's 4 or 5 nights a week. He plays in bands around Vegas and whatnot. And then our bass player, Scott, is from San Francisco. Another super talented guy, has a home studio. And he doesn't have kids, so he's kind of ready to go. That's a big thing too, with like the responsibilities of like juggling, even short tours. You want to go to the UK for 3 weeks or whatever, you got to figure it all out, and uh, you know, look at your vacation pay coming up, or how much you've accumulated or whatever. But
Yeah. It,
uh,
it's more common nowadays for a lot of bands. A lot of bands, they do the flyouts on the weekends.
yeah, of course, that's the best kind. And the big festivals, that's why there's so many of these successful big festivals. Like if
Yeah.
you look at the lineup on the Rock Island thing, because everybody can go. The people, like normal people our age, like
Right.
their kids are already grown, and they're like, they have money, so they're like, yeah, we could fly to Florida for a weekend and check out 3 days of bands, and then go back to work on Monday or whatever.
But it works out though too
Um,
because of our age. We don't want to go to bed on a Wednesday night at 3 o'clock in the morning to see him at a
exactly,
club, and the band doesn't want to be going to bed and riding a bus. And we can have
exactly.
a nice hotel and like
Yeah,
have a fun weekend, and then go back to regular work hours again. That's the
right.
generation.
Yeah, yeah. And the cruises, man, oh God, that was so much fun on the Monsters of Rock cruise. They take care of you good. I was able to bring my wife and have a vacation. Kind of it. Yeah, we played. I think we did 2 performances and some meet and greets and stuff like that. But it really was a vacation that we would have never been able to afford at that point. Like
Yeah.
dropped off the kids with my parents, and got to
It sounds
rock out and
awesome.
stuff like
Cruise and you got to jam with your buds. It sounds like a
yeah,
lot.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I keep hearing about them. I might eventually break down and do one of these cruises. I was against it, but it's just like you hear how
Yeah.
great they are. You know?
There's so many now. I mean, I saw like the Flogging Molly one just happened,
Yeah.
and they had like a skate ramp and all these pro skater guys and great bands. And there's the Kiss
Really.
cruise.
The
There's
Prague one
just
they
so
just
many, and
had.
even the fest. Which one?
They had a Prague one that was just out. It was all progressive music,
Oh,
doing
really?
like, yeah, that one looked pretty good too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then there's the festivals too, right? Like
Yeah,
here in Vegas. The next one coming up is the Psycho Fest, which is all like metal bands, stoner
yeah.
metal. Um, and they've got Viva Las Vegas, like all the rockabilly stuff. We go to that one every year. Then there's all the rave festivals and whatnot. But yeah, like nationwide, when you look at it as a whole, there's a lot of great stuff going on that you can do as a band, and
Hmm.
and still hold down a job and fly in and out, and pretend you're a rock star for 2 days and then go back to work on Monday.
So when is your I was with that? When is your first performance with this new lineup?
So it will be the Whiskey a Go Go in Los Angeles on December 29th.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's isn't that far away if you think about it. It's only
It's 5 months, 5.5 months, something like that. Enough time. Like I said, we're recording. We're, um, you know, uh, Billy's got to work in between breaks because Buck
yeah.
Cherry's still pretty busy. He's going to have some holes in there, and then I think he's got a couple months off starting September. So we've got a lot to keep us busy and get done, and um, you know, press and publicity, and got to it's like, all right, get the wheels turning again, get everybody
Yeah, get
back
the
on
machine
board. I've
going.
got a meeting with our manager tomorrow, like, um, and then like I said, that's kind of how it's always been. There'll be like a lull, and we hardly talk to each other, and then it's like stuff starts coming along, and then it just snowballs, right? Like I guarantee now, we'll start getting more offers for bookings next year.
Well, I want to thank you for all this great news. Me as a fan,
Yeah,
and I'm sure everyone's gonna be really excited about potential, down the road an album, the new lineup. You guys are playing out more. What's going on with Billy? That he's still gonna, play
yeah,
gigs, and it's not gonna
yeah,
change anything. Mom and Dad are not getting divorced. You
yeah.
know, it's all
We're
good.
back, man. We're back. We're still, we still have passion. We still have a lot of good years left in us. We want to keep the flame burning as long as we can, as long as we're able, as long as we have an audience.
Yeah,
So I appreciate guys like you to help keep it alive, as much as the fans that keep showing up and people that write me and message me and want more. So we're back at it, and it's been killing me over the last 2 years, like everybody, to not be active and not have music happening in my life. So I'm super excited to be getting back at it, and looking forward to the end of the year shows and what's coming next year.
excellent. As everyone knows on my show, I always put the links, so there'll be the Jetboy links, and also Let's get your links for your other business, your hair stuff, so people can check it out.
Absolutely.
Because he also does hair products, men's hair products, and
Yep.
that's your thing. So
Hair,
the links will
shave,
be there.
beard products. Yep.
So people, all the links will be there for that too. So check out everything. All right.
All right.
I mean, thank you for being on the show.
Right on. Thank you, my brother.
Thank
Keep it
you.
alive.
Okay. Bye.